Presence is needed in our lives right now more than ever because we are living in a world that is changing very fast, and there's a lot of noise, and it's also in our own personal lives and in the sacred temple between our ears that nobody else knows what's going on in there, but you do. And I think that if you were honest, you'd admit that what goes on in here sometimes tortures you and bothers you, and you wish it would stop. So I hope you enjoy the conversation in this video. Without further ado, how to be present. Welcome to Vibes and Frequencies. Let's get into it. It's all the same presence. I just didn't see it before. I was so busy trying to be someone. And when you don't have so much noise in your face of things you're trying to do or fix or any of that, it becomes very clear how truly beautiful and special and pristine this very moment is. How beautiful it is to be alive and to be here right now in this moment, you know? And I think we forget sometimes, you know? We forget because of the challenges in our lives. And I'm not going to say that there aren't challenges in our lives, because there are. I've got some going on in mine right now. But I find that most people, the peace that they experience, the presence that they experience, the joy that they experience, the love that they experience, they only ever really experience it when there aren't pervasive problems in their life, when everything looks exactly the way you think it's supposed to look, when all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Then you open up to feel the true presence of who you are, because you feel like there's not these problems to solve, so now you can relax and you can just be. And that's a beautiful emergence and rising in you, isn't it? I'm sure you felt it before, when those moments when you felt like everything in your life was just perfect, there's no problems, right? We've all had a day like that. There's this incredible presence, because in a certain sense, we feel within ourselves that we don't have to fight or flight in this moment, because everything's okay. I can just be. We don't have to fight or flight. I can just be. But I've learned something, and I feel like a lot of my friends out there who watch these videos have learned it too. And so we mirror it back to each other. It turns out that that peace, that presence, that who you really are-ness is absolutely receivable in this moment, no matter how many problems or challenges are going on in your life. You want to know the one thing that is required to experience that presence of who you are, which, by the way, makes you so much more powerful when you face the challenges in your life. Because when you face the challenges in your life in a flustered, frantic, I'm in a state of pain way, you end up just making a lot more messes. And I know that very well, because over these last few weeks, I've made some decisions that came from a place of my own pain and trying to fix, dotting the I's and crossing the T's in the places that I could see things were going wrong. And I just made them worse. I should have just let it be. You know, I just made a bigger mess in trying to clean up the one that I'd already made. That's the funny thing. It's the ironic thing. When you're connected to who you really are, you don't do stupid stuff like that. You don't make more messes. You're the solution to them. The solution naturally moves through you, because it's the very presence of who you are. It's the natural light of your authentic self, your authentic being, you know. But the one thing that I've learned that is the only thing required to access that true presence of who you are, this is a funny thing. Remember how I said when we're facing problems in our life, most of us enter fight or flight, right? We fight to fix it, or we run so we don't have to deal with it. right? That running, in case you're having a hard time understanding what that means, a lot of that manifests as avoidant behaviors. You know, you might start seeking drugs or binging TV shows and eating food, or, you know, these are just some simple examples. You might just start blasting more. You constantly have music playing because it's so hard for you to be present with what's actually going on in your life. You're constantly talking to friends because it's too hard for you to actually deal with reality. So that's some of the avoidance stuff. And the fighting is when we frantically try to make everything fixed, which is like the opposite of the running. But sometimes we go too hard and we don't realize our actual effect on the environment around us. The forcefulness and the aggressiveness and the pushiness of us trying to make things be the way that we think they should be is often an energy that's actually very offensive to reality and the other people that are in it. You end up just pushing everyone away and making things worse often. So that fight or flight, all it requires to actually tap into the presence of who you are is simple. Don't fight and don't flight. Be here. And it's not as conceptual or esoteric or hard to understand as some part of you might be like, well, what does that mean? Like, so I want to share with you what I've learned about it in case it might help somebody out there. But you first have to understand it's not complicated. Imagine for a moment all of the thoughts and the emotions that constantly rise and fall in you. Thoughts come and go, feelings come and go. And of course, sometimes we get fixated on a certain thought. And that is when our thoughts start to torture us. When there's something that's bothering you in your mind and it just won't stop looping and playing out. Maybe you felt that before. Feels like you're being haunted or tortured in a certain sense in your own temple, which is sad. So here's the thing. When we get fixated on a certain thought that's torturing us or a certain feeling, it's because we're trying to run from it. We don't want it to be there, or we're trying to fight it. If you actually, instead of trying to fight the thought or try to run from the thought, you just observe it. The funny thing is that your true presence emerges and all of those thoughts and those feelings lose all of their power over you. And this is the case with external reality too. Everything loses its power over you when instead of running and instead of fighting, you actually choose to just be present. So what does that mean? How can we express that presence so it's more clear and not just conceptual? Let's go back to the mind because it's a perfect reflection of everything that's happening outside of you also. Okay, in the mind, imagine that you're in this like exotic zoo. Now, normally in the zoo, when you're at a zoo with all these exotic animals and all their exhibits, right? You are the one who gets up and goes and checks out each exhibit. But the truth in life and in our mind and our emotions is that really these exotic animals come and visit us. So imagine for this zoo that you're in the zoo and you're sitting on this bench and various animals keep coming up to you. They walk into the room. These animals are different thoughts and different feelings, different situations in your life. Your job with presence is very simple. Remain seated on the bench and simply witness and observe the animals. Maybe an exotic animal walks into the room that isn't your favorite. It looks a certain way you don't like. Maybe it's a little creepy. Maybe it's a little aggressive and intense. But here's what you have to understand. There is a protective barrier around you on this bench. Nothing can actually touch you or hurt you. So you stay seated on that bench and just keep watching and observing the different animals that come in. And don't fixate on any single one of them. Don't choose one of the animals to focus on and obsessively witness. Remain in a state of neutral observance. All of the animals that come and visit get the same neutral witnessing. We're not fixating on any of the exotic animals that are coming in this zoo and visiting us as we sit on this bench. We're just being. Here comes this one. And here comes another. And there that one goes. And there that one goes. So as you do this, it's actually really easy. It's not hard. It really isn't. It's so easy and so natural because it's the power of who we really are. Remain seated on the bench. I've got stuff going on in my life right now that I have not been hiding from, all my community here on YouTube, because I like to share and be honest when I'm struggling or going through something, to show that true human aspect to the spiritual journey, that we're all human and we're all going to face things and be confused sometimes. But even with some of the things that are going on in my life right now, which are like exotic animals that come and visit me in the zoo, I have some thoughts that really hurt and cause me a lot of pain. I have some emotions that really hurt. So what I'm doing is, instead of trying to fight them and change my emotions or thoughts to be what I think they should be, reaching for a more positive thought, trying to create a more positive feeling in myself, right? A lot of people try to teach you you're supposed to do this. I'm telling you right now, you are signing up for disaster if you believe and walk that path. Your life is going to be suffering, because there's a true power beyond that, playing mind games, and it's called stay seated on the bench. Stay seated on the bench and just watch. Be present. These feelings come, these thoughts come, some of this pain comes. Instead of me trying to fight it, and instead of me trying to avoid it, I stay seated on the bench and I just sit in the room with it. And everything comes, everything that comes also goes. Everything that goes also must have had first come. Now, this isn't meant to sound all fortune cookie. Just understand that everything in life rises and falls. The sun, the weather, people come, people go, finances change, life situations change. It's a constant evolution. You are the constant. You are the only constant in your life. You are the only thing, the only one that is always here in this moment with you. Your mom's not always with you holding your hand. Your partner, if you've got one, isn't always there holding your hand, right? Your career isn't always there going exactly the way you think it's supposed to be going, right? All these things that we cling to in our lives, you are the only one that is constantly here in this moment. And that's not pessimistic. I'm not telling you you're alone. I'm not telling you that you're abandoned and that as soon as you accept it, then you can, feel better about it. What I'm telling you is a very real truth, that you are the only one that is always here in this moment. You. But if you live your life in a state of fight or flight, the moments in your life where you tap into who you really are brief and few. But if you stay seated on that bench and you don't fight and you don't flight, then the true presence of who you really are grows and becomes more and more embodied and more powerful in your life. And you do start getting different reflections happening in external reality, which mirrors that presence and that evolution and that alignment. It mirrors it back to you. So instead of trying to change reality to be the way you think it should be, stay seated on the bench and things naturally change on their own. And in that space, reality begins to reflect to you your own evolution, your own growth, your own presence, your own clarity. Does this make sense? Stay seated on the bench. Has anybody ever experienced what I'm talking about? Maybe you'd express it a little bit differently. And if you feel called to, it would be actually pretty cool for you to share that in the comments. In case the way I've explained it doesn't make sense to somebody, maybe the way you explain it will. And that's a beautiful thing that you could share as a gift with someone below. But I also would like to know if anybody out there understands what I mean by this. The power of presence, the power of actually being here in this moment. Not fighting, not flighting, being. I'm here And it has never been more beautiful and pristine and clear in Sedona, ever. It has never felt more angelic and more blessed. But the truth is, I, because of my own inner evolution, have never felt more blessed, never felt more clear, never felt more presence. And everywhere I go, everything is reflecting that to me. But about a year ago, I was in a really dark and painful place, and everywhere I went reflected that to me. I came to Sedona around this time last year, and it felt horrible here. It felt like there was this horrible energy. I had this whole story about it, that there's like this darkness in Sedona, like there's like this psychic darkness. And it's really funny because then I just kept driving to different locations. I went to New Mexico. I was like going to all these different locations, and everywhere I went, it was like, oh, what is this darkness that's following me around? And I started to realize it was something in me that I was fighting. It was something in me that I was flighting. I was running. I was fighting. The moment I actually just stayed seated on the bench and started being present is the moment my entire life started to change. And that was a massive shift that, to be honest, for anyone who's curious, started for me around this time last year. And it's only been a year, but I'm telling you sincerely from my core, I have never been more aligned with my power and felt such beautiful presence and blessings all around me, no matter what's going on in my life. And there's a beauty that moves through me continuously that I'd never experienced before. And it just keeps growing and getting better and better and better. And everyone I interact with is reflecting this to me. Every place I go is reflecting this to me. It's in my inner temple, and it's all around me. And it's beautiful, and it's serene, and my whole life feels angelic and heavenly, and it's constant. And the core of what's really emerged that, I'm telling you right now, is staying seated on the bench. Things come and go. Things rise and fall. When we fight or flight, we make a bigger mess. We make things worse, and we don't realize it. When we stay seated on the bench and we're present, something profound shifts within us, and everything begins to shift around you too. It's extraordinary. Now, I have a beautiful, beautiful feeling about many things that are going to be coming through this winter that I'm going to be spending here in Sedona. I can already feel it. It's in the wind, it's in the trees, it's in the presence, it's in me, it's constant. I feel some very powerful and very beautiful messages coming through for this community here on YouTube through these videos, and I honestly, I'm just so grateful to be here and for this new episode and season of my life. And how funny is it that all it ever took was just being present? It really didn't take all those crazy techniques or trying to shift things and trying to change timelines. I've come to find that, I'm not saying that different timelines aren't real, but I've come to find that trying to change your timeline is kind of insane. How about just be here right now in this moment on this one? And what if that is the profound shift that aligns you with the highest timeline? Do you ever stop to think about that? That maybe constantly trying to change your reality actually keeps you in a toxic loop, but that the moment you actually are here, everything just begins to flow and become beautiful because that's the true nature of who you are. But you just don't see that because you're fighting so hard to achieve what you want, to get what you want. Well, I have this freedom in me now, and it's incredible. And I see my friends and family and people all around me struggling and fighting and flighting. And I can't tell them what I know. Well, it wouldn't matter anyways because we all know it within ourselves. But each of our life paths is a journey of getting to a point where honestly, I think we just get to a place where we finally realize I've suffered enough, so I'm just going to be here now. And then everything starts transforming in this beautiful way and you realize that's all it ever really took. Wow. you know? It's like all of our journeys look like a completely different story. We look different, we wear different outfits, there's different situations that manifest in our lives. But in truth, we're all on the exact same path. We are all coming home to the truth of who we really are. It's what all of us are doing. So don't judge others so much, because we're really all here in this together and we're all walking the same path. It just looks different. We're all coming home and we're all doing it together. We play out certain stories and narratives with each other. Think about it. I'm a real person. I don't just exist on a computer screen or a phone screen, believe it or not. I know people's minds sometimes compartmentalize and don't realize that I'm a real living person, and I play a role in your life. I'm part of your story, but your story is really about you coming home to who you are, and I'm just so pleased and grateful to be any part of that at all with you. But everybody in your life plays out different energies and narratives and stories with you. Some of them hurt. Some of them feel uplifting. But you know what all of them are doing? They're all giving you an opportunity to stay seated on that bench and see the truth instead of fighting or flighting. If you found this video to be helpful, thank you for sharing it with one of your friends or family that you might feel guided to. I appreciate that. And if you go below and you like this video and you drop a comment, it also helps tell the algorithm on YouTube that, hey, maybe we should share these videos with other people. So if you find them helpful, a beautiful thing you can do is be open to helping the algorithm bring these videos to other people that they can help. So thank you for being a part of that. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next Vibes and Frequencies video. Thanks, much love, and I will see you there.